Alright, welcome back. So this is the last part of our CSS blog exercise, code along. And in this one, we're gonna cover all the final touches that this page has that make it look a little better than this one, right? This is looking a little better than this non-styled version, right? So the first thing that's making a huge difference is the font. And to include the font, now you have a lot of fonts built in CSS, but often they are not enough, and most of the times they're not enough. So we have a really good resource known as Google Fonts. So I'm going to open Google Fonts here. You can go to that. And so now you see that here you have a large amount of fonts that you can choose from, like a really large amount. You can see only the scroll bar is here, and I've done a lot of it. So to show you how we put a form, I'll first choose the font that I've included in this page, and it's already up here. It's this Tenali Ramakrishna font, right? So I'll go to this. So now what you do is you select this style, and this has already only a regular 400 style. So what this 400 means is the font weight. What font weight is that if you go here, you see that this is a little bolder than this thing, and H1 is much more bolder than all of that. So that basically means that H1 has a higher font weight than H4 or a paragraph. So the amount of boldness is the font weight. So this only has one font weight, but if you go to some other font, you'll see it has a lot of font weights: 100, 100 italic, 300, 300 italic, 400, 400, 400 italic. So there are a lot of font weights in most of the fonts. However, this has only 400, so that's what we're gonna do. So you can simply click on select this style, and you see it shows you this selected family right here. So now what you need to do is you need to click on embed, and then they'll give you a link tag. Now this is another URL, and what you have to do is you have to copy this and paste it up here. Now you would always want your personal style sheet to be on the last, because later when we're gonna include some different libraries like Bootstrap, you'll understand why this has to be on last. But it's always good to have a habit of putting this on the last, right? So now you need to put this link tag here. So you can see the href is a kind of a link, not kind of, it is a link. And what is this is doing is this is fetching that particular font for us from this Google Fonts, right? That is what that link tag is doing. And now it's showing CSS rules to specify families. You can copy this and you can paste this down here. So one more thing is this star selector. What star does is it selects everything on the page, right? Everything from the smallest to the biggest thing. And now you can paste this here. Now you don't know what font family is, but that is basically the property that is responsible for changing the font on any page, right? You could have font family and then your font name. So font family is Tenali Ramakrishna and sans serif. And now if I go here and I refresh, I see everything changes font. However, we get some problems that this gets back to a very small size and the boldness gets removed. So why is that? And same here, the boldness gets removed to a large extent. And so that is because we see that we have included only the 400 font weight for this particular font right here, right? And so that is a problem because the font weight of an H4 is normally more than 400. 400 is our normal font weight, right? So if I go back, so what I did to counter this was I took another font for these. You can see the font of this and this is quite different. So I took a different font for this, and I don't remember which one I took, but we could take anyone. I'll just take the Oswald here. And now I'm going to take the semi-bold 600 one, right? I select the style. And now it has both these styles added. I've already added Tenali Ramakrishna, so I'll remove this. And now I'll do embed. The same thing, I'll add this link tag. So this link tag now is for this particular font, which is known as Oswald. So I go to my HTML I go here, I paste this. So now this font has been included in my HTML file. I can simply do font family, Oswald. So I need to do this for the H4 as well as the H1, right? I can space this, right? So, yeah, so now if I refresh, I see this gets some nice different font. And first of all, that distinguishes it from the page. And second, it gives us the nice boldness. And now we can increase the size. So we can do a font size of 1 em is what it will have right now. So I'm gonna have 1.2 em, and I see it gets really better, right? Yeah, and the H1 is, I think, yeah, H1 is already great. There's no problem with the H1. Obviously, I think now this font looks a little better, but I don't remember which one this was. So you could choose any font and the procedure will always remain the same, right? Okay, so now this has font size 1.2 em and that's all we needed for the H4 and the H1. So now one thing is that I had made this earlier and then I thought that this is getting it too cramped here, like there's very less space. So what I did was I applied a width of 95%. Remember this has a width of 90%. So I gave this a width of 95%, right? And then it looked a little better. So what I'm going to do is, now you could give this paragraph an ID and select it, that's perfectly fine. But just to show some diversity, I'll do an image plus P. And just for revision, plus means that adjacent selectors. So this will select only the paragraphs that come after an image tag. And as we see, this is our only paragraph that comes after an image tag, right? So now what we can do is, we can give it a width 95%. And I know the first thing that will happen is that this gets all cramped to the left. So now what you want to do is you're going to give it a margin auto. And you see that the things that we're doing right now are pretty small, right? It's difficult to notice them, but that is what gives that are the things that give your page a really good look, right? So this is what we have, and I think one more thing we could do is that I had done is that I made this paragraph a little bigger, right? So I can do a font and this should be yeah, font size 1.2 em. Now this will become equal to the H4, so we can make this 1.4, I think. Yeah, so now this looks really good, and if we compare, all of this is actually the same except one small thing. Notice how we have kind of a shadow right here that's making this look like a box that's popping out, and that looks really good. Like I personally think that having a shadow increases the look of a page by a lot. So what we can do is we can go to container and we can add a box shadow, right? Of this I'm adding in pixels 2px, 2px, and color could be, you could first try black, but I don't think that will look good. Yeah, it looks a little too much. So I'm just gonna see which I used here. So this is the RGB 110, 120, 124. So you see we've covered all these styles here, and this is the font that I used, Noto Sans HK. You could try that. And I'm gonna paste this color right here first. So now if you refresh, you see we have a really good box shadow and we have a really good looking page. So now if we compare both these pages, they look the same. Everything is the same except this one font for the H1 and the H4s. Everything is the same. And one thing that I'd like to show you is really cool that we've done is that this is responsive, and no matter how small your window size gets, this will look good. And you could do something like reducing the size of this when the window is small, but that is done through media query or bootstrap, and you don't know any of those right now, so you could leave that behind. But apart from that, our page is responsive. It becomes smaller as the screen size becomes smaller, the image is responsive, and the text is responsive, everything is responsive. And the reason why that is because we've done everything in percentage. So the ratio always remains the same. That's why your page always looks good no matter what happens. And even if you view this on mobile right now, this will look good to a large extent. So this is what we were aiming to make, and now once you made this, you've covered a lot of the important concepts in CSS. And if you're confident that if I give you this again and I don't show you how to do it, then you'll be able to do it even by referring back to all the lectures of CSS or even this code along. Then you are good to make any normal or even good looking site in CSS even now, right? Because these are the properties that are used the most, these ones, right? And you can see that they give a really good look to the page without being really complex, right? So that's all we had to do in this. So we're done with CSS, I mean the core CSS for now. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to Bootstrap from the next video, and that is something really cool. With Bootstrap you could remove a lot of these styles by just simply putting classes, and we'll see what that is from the next video. And that's it for this one. I'll see you then. Bye.